In this video, what I'm going to do is look at some techniques that you can use in Photoshop to improve your images. So we'll be putting together a t-shirt design with a nice slogan. So while you're watching this, think of a nice slogan you're going to use. Use oldsearch.creativecommons.org to find copyright-free images. It's the right thing to do. And then I've downloaded one earlier off of Old Search. So I'm going to open up Photoshop. Last time we right-clicked on the image in Old Search and went copy and then went file new and pasted it into a new document. But what I'm going to do is I've downloaded the image. So I went right-click, file, save as, and now I'm going to open the image I got. There we go. Just open that up. I've got a nice image to use. Well, I think it's nice. I need to resize that. And the best way to resize is to go to Edit, Transform the Scale. And then you just change the scale, position it for your t-shirt design. Now, if I click out of there, I can't do anything, can't select anything. It's just going beep. Just choose something innocuous like the movement tool, and it allows you to apply the transformation. So I go apply, and that's now sitting on layer 0. This is my image layer, so I'm just going to call it image. You'll thank yourself when you've got 20 layers that you've named your layers. Now I'm going to add some text. Needs a good slogan. So I go to the text tool on the menu bar and I just click underneath, for example, and I type in my slogan. So I'm just going to have a really corny slogan, something like Geek Girls Do IT. And up here are now the properties of text. Because I've selected the text tool, here are the properties of text. And you'll notice it's picking up whatever color is here in the foreground color selection. I'm going to change that, make it a less violet kind of purple. But I'm going to change the size slightly, make it a bit bigger, and I'm going to apply a like word art warped text kind of style. For example, let's choose arc lower, and then you'll notice you can use these sliders to just change what it looks like a little bit. When you're happy, you click OK, and you use the movement tool to position that on the t-shirt. That text is now quite flat. That image is a little bit boring. But you'll do notice I don't have to name my layer because the text is popped in here. So at least I know what's there. So what can I do to make it a little bit more interesting? Well, one of the things I can do to the text is I can go and apply styles to it. So if I go to the text layer, I put my mouse just over the line on that box and I go double click, I get my layer style. You have to click in just the right place. And then I can do things like bevel and emboss. I think that looks quite cool. I can do all kinds of things like color overlays and gradient overlays and pattern overlays and outer glows and God knows what. A simple drop shadow might work. When you're happy, you just click OK. And you'll notice those effects now show up in that layer, in the layers box over here. If you want to remove it, you just click the eye to hide that, and you want it back again, you just click the eyeball again so that it shows, it becomes visible. If I go now and click on the image layer, I can also change the image layer by applying filters. So if I go to filter, I can go to a filter gallery, or I want to make mine look like oil paint. So I can go into oil paint, and you'll notice it's kind of made it look as if I painted this in oil paint. And I can then go and stylize that. I can use the sliders to change the effect, how much bristle detail is used, the lighting direction, how much shine there is on the image. So if I want it to look like that, if I'm not happy with that, I just click cancel and go out of there and try again. If I am happy, you click OK. Well, yeah. I can go in and do filter and choose filter gallery, and you'll notice there are all kinds of styles that you can choose. So I can go and layer one style choice on another until I've really messed it up. Okay, but have fun with it. You know what? Life is short. Maybe that one. I don't know. And when you're happy, you click OK. So now I've got a horrific image for my T-shirt. But hey, that's cool. What if I want to add something else? So maybe some kind of little circle or a box or something in the background, just to make it a little bit more interesting. I need to add a new layer. So I've got my image layer, I've got my text layer, but I need to add a new one. So I go down to the bottom of the layers box here. That one will delete a layer. So if I want to delete my text, I just click that. But I want to create a new layer, and I just drag it down to the bottom. And this is for whatever background I'll be using. And I just go and I use my Marquee Tool. So it's the second one on the list. And you'll notice if you right click, you've got rectangular, you've got elliptical. I'm just going to choose a rectangular style. And I can just size a little box, something like that. Maybe move it down a little bit. I don't know. I'm just playing around with ideas. And if I fill that with color, so I go into my color gradients and I look for a suitable color, maybe some kind of hue. And then I use my paintbrush. And I just make sure I've selected that background layer. So when I click inside that box, whatever's inside the selection will then be affected. And now I'm using my movement tool and I can move that box into position. And I can go edit, transform, and I can go something like warp. Now let's see what warp does. Warp, you go and you grab corners and you can just do sort of fancy things like that. So I'm going to create a sort of quite fancy sort of shape. I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm doing it because I can. And my advice to you, and I've got to transform that. So I click the movement tool and apply that transformation. My advice to you is play with these things. Go in, try things out. If you don't like it, all you do is you go Alt Control Z, and you, however many mistakes you've made, you can step backwards, or you just go Edit, Step Backward, and you undo any mistakes that you've made. Now, one of the things that you might want to do is consider opacity. So how see-through, how transparent or opaque is something. So if I click on that background layer and I go up to the layer properties over here, you'll notice one of them is opacity. And I can just use the slider to make it kind of more see-through. And then it becomes kind of less offensive. And if I'm happy, I just click out of there. And it's selected, I can just go select, deselect. And that's what my image currently looks like. And I could add some more layers and add some more shapes. So I've got now a second background 2. And I'm just playing with things. I'm just going to use a little marquee box here. No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an elliptical one to make a kind of circle, and I'll position it somewhere, and I'm going to add a different color, sort of a gray color, and I'm going to use my little box there, and then if I do that, I'm starting to play with things, and I can change the opacity. Let's see, background 2. If I change the fill, what happens? Okay, it does a similar kind of thing. Play with things, see what they do. Try and create interesting effects. And when you're ready to save, you'll notice I've got a transparent background. So when I go save, I go save as, and this is my T-shirt. I'm going to save as a Photoshop document. Just go OK, those are default settings, and it saves it as a Photoshop document. I can go in and edit this document anytime I like. I can then go File, Save As, and I can save it, not as I can keep the same name, but not as a Photoshop document. If I want to keep transparency, it must be a GIF. I could also use JPEG or PNG because those formats, JPEG, GIF, or PNG, can be used in Word documents, in Adobe products. They can be used on the internet. So they're very versatile formats. But to keep the transparency, I'm going to save it as a GIF and click Save. Just go OK and OK to keep those default settings. Have fun with Photoshop. Play with everything you see. Mess things up. When you're unhappy with something, you just go to the top here, you click the X, and you start again.